Welcome back to the sawmill, guys. I'm Jerry, and today I want to discuss with you the minimum amount of tools you need, or what tools you need to get started if you bought a manual mill. As you know, the Frontier OS27 that I have is a manual mill. It can mill up to a 27-inch log and approximately 11 feet long. I've milled 28-inch white pine. I had to do some chiseling on it with the chainsaw, but it's not a problem handling a 27-inch log, but you need some special tools. So I'm going to discuss with you some of the things I think you need to get started. So you spent $5,500 for your Frontier mill or Woodland mill or Wood-Mizer. You got a manual mill, whatever it is. I'm going to say the very first thing you're going to need, tape measure. You need to know how big your logs are. You don't want to haul a few logs out of the woods and have them either one too long or too big. So tape measure, you got to have a tape measure. Various kinds. This is just a 30-foot standard tape measure you get at Ace Hardware or something along the lines of that. I also have this logger's tape. It's nice, you clip it on your belt. I don't use it in the lumber yard too much. I use it out in the woods though when I'm checking trees. I'll go up and around at breast height and get the diameters of them. Another nice scale to have, at least in our area, we use the Doyle stick around here. I believe there's a Scribner and another, I think there's 3 different styles, but this gets pretty close. This was, well, how big is this log? So this will tell you your board foot, 12 inch diameter, 8 foot long, 32 board foot in this. So we will get around 32 board feet. So this is nice to have. And how you use these, you put it up at chest height and you eye one end of it on the tree and you read, and it's pretty accurate. And you'll say, okay, that's a 28-inch diameter tree, 16-foot log, 317 board feet. So it's an easy way to go out in the woods and check, trees that may be options for your sawmill. So you got the tape measure, you got the sawmill. How are you going to get these things up there? Well, you saw in my video, I used a winch, Harbor Freight winch. I built a little pedestal that goes into the log stop holder, and I use just a car battery. I have 2 ramps. Let me show you the ramps here. Right there, those are my ramps. And they got a couple of notches at the top, and I have tapers on the bottom to match the ground. And I'll roll, when I first started, I would use those because I had no other means of getting up there. So I would take my winch. First, I actually used my quad. I'd park my quad on that side, put the power brake on, or the brake on, and I'd pull the winch cable I have on my quad, and I'd power buckle them up the ramps, as you saw. Well, then I built that pedestal that slipped in that log holder with a Harbor Freight winch, a $100 winch on it, and that works great. So if you're in a remote location where you can't get the tractor, it's a great way to do it. Only reason I don't do it anymore is because I have a tractor. So you have to have a means to get it up there. When I first started, how I made those ramps is I had a couple old 2x8s I stacked on top of each other, rolled a couple, I think it was one popple. I think I made those out of a popple, both of those out of one popple. Rolled them up there and cut the ramps, and now I had my ramps, and now I was ready to go. I didn't have to worry about those 2x8s breaking on me. So now you get them up there. How are you going to turn them? How are you going to roll them across your log field or your lumber yard? And that's where these cants come in handy. I have 3 different sizes. You don't need 3, but I use all 3 of them. I use this little one, believe it or not, quite a bit. They're all made by Log-Rite, all 3 of them, but this has the Frontier's paint on it and the Frontier sticker on it, but they're all exactly the same except different lengths. This is 33 inches long. This is almost 50 inches long. And this is almost 60 inches long. So I'm guessing they're calling this their 3-footer or 2.5 foot, 4-footer, and 5-footer. And these are log cants, not log peavies. Log peavies have the point on them. Those are used for rolling logs around out in the field. These are made for hooking onto the square of your cant and being able to roll and turn. Now I use this 5-footer quite often, just more leverage. If I have a helper, I give them the smaller one. But I do use this one once there's like this log I can roll easily with that little cant right there, that cant hook. So you're gonna need a cant hook. So if you're only gonna get one, you know, they're not cheap. I think this is about 150 bucks, 130 bucks, and probably another 100 bucks. So maybe get the biggest one you can afford. So you're gonna need that. You're gonna need a chainsaw. I have, let me get my saw out. This chainsaw is, I bought this 4 or 5 years ago from our local dealer in town here called Timberland in Newaygo, Tom Frisbee. Great shop. If you go in there, tell him I sent you. Jerry sent you. But that's a 441. It runs great. Never had any issues with it. I have a 362, a 361, and an 026. I have all the pro models. I cut a lot of firewood as well. We burn with firewood, and I put up about 20 full cord a year. So we got to have some saws. If you're going to have a saw, though, you also have to have chaps and some safety gear. I don't have the chaps out here, but you need to have chaps. And I would recommend something along the lines of this, as opposed to just earmuffs and safety glasses. These are nice. Keeps all the chips out of your face. Obviously the hearing protection. But the hard hat's actually pretty nice. I was out in the woods one time, and I was loading up some wood, and literally a little stick fell out of a tree about the size of a hammer handle. And I didn't have this on. Hit me in the head. Landed on my head, and it put me right down. So I'm always wearing this when I'm doing firewood. Even when I pick up my firewood, I always wear this. The screen's nice. It keeps the deer flies, if you're doing it in the summertime, off your face and stuff. But it keeps the branches from smacking in your face, and it's just a nice way to go. The chaps, please wear chaps when you run a chainsaw. I had chaps on, and I'm glad I did. My chaps now hang in Timberland. I had a pair that didn't wrap around my leg real well. I'm not going to mention the manufacturer's name, but it didn't wrap all the way around my leg. So when the chainsaw came down, it pulled my chaps across and put a pretty good cut. I still have a little scar. You can't really see much of it anymore. Didn't require stitches, but when you get hit with a chainsaw, the chain will leave a wide gap, and you know, it could do a lot of damage. So please have chaps. So I bought a different brand. Now I run the steel chaps. I have 3 pairs of them. One for my boy, one for me, and anybody who's helping me, I want them wearing chaps if we're running chainsaws. If you're on my property, they're invaluable. So you get those. So you got a little expense there. Another thing, and when you're out on the mill, you're going to need some hearing protection. These aren't really loud, but when you're standing here all day, they're going to be loud. It's going to affect your hearing over time. So I have just a standard pair. I use these for shooting. But this pair right here, I got these a couple months ago. I really do like these. It has Bluetooth. It has AM, FM radio. Maybe it don't have AM. I think just FM and MP3. So I always listen to the radio, or Bluetooth. Listen to podcasts. So these are important. Safety glasses. I just stepped on these, but these are a pair of 3M safety glasses as well. It's not as bad with the sawdust in here. You're on the back side of the motor, so you're not getting a lot of debris in your face unless it's windy. You're going to get some dust in your face. Now the wood miser, you walk on the same side it comes out of, but on this one you walk on the opposite side, so you're not walking into sawdust. So you're going to some glasses. Another tool, it's not a must, but it's pretty close to it, is a leaf blower or some way to clean the mill or clean the logs off. I have a backpack blower, a steel backpack blower, that I used to use all the time for this. And a couple weeks ago, well, actually Father's Day weekend, I was at the local Ace Hardware, Kronk Hardware in town there. Again, go in there, tell them I sent you. Nice group of guys in there, very helpful. I was going to buy this, and it was Thursday before Father's Day, and I was about to put it on my account, and I didn't do it. I just couldn't pull the trigger on it yet. And come Father's Day, I got it. And I can't be more pleased with that Ego 650. It's 90 minutes on one charge. I've only charged it a few times. And you got 90 minutes on a full charge. And you got a turbo feature. So you have full charge, turbo. It's pretty handy. So it's really nice to clean up the saw before, at the end of the evening, put the saw to bed. And it's just handy to blow off the dust, blow them off your stickered lumber. I'd say that's about a must to have some sort of leaf blower. Another thing I do have, you saw it in the beginning of the video, I have power out here. So we trenched in some power back in the spring. Put some underground feet out here, and it's nice to have an air out here. This is just for making the job easier. Not mandatory to have compressed air. So you got those tools. How are you going to get the log to your mill? Well, in the beginning of the video, you saw my log arch. And I'll show it again. This log arch is made by Logrite now. Logrite. This is actually made, this one was made by Forest Fetching Arch, but Logrite bought them out, and this is now proprietary of Logrite. It has a set of log tongs on it. So you just tip it up, grab the log as you saw, and you can walk with it. You can hook it back to your quad and pull it. It's got these nice big turf tires on it, so it floats over the ground real well. I think it can almost pick up 3,000 pounds. I've not had a log I couldn't pick up with it yet. And it can pick up a pretty long log and get the whole thing off the ground. I had somebody comment on one of my log arch videos that you're only able to pick up whatever the length of that is, and that's not true. He mentioned that I could only pick up, if this is 5 foot, I could only pick up a 10-foot log. Not true at all. I've picked up 16-footers, and it will pick the whole thing right off the ground and get it strapped to the front. No problems at all with that. Great for hauling logs out of the woods. You're not scarring up the ground, and it's just easier on your equipment too, but that's pricey. Logrite's running those at about $2,400 for that one right there. But is it mandatory? If you have a way to skid them, great. You saw me earlier. I was using a wire brush. All right, we have a manual mill. We do not have a debarker on a manual mill on this one. So we got to get the dirt off. And I try to get as much dirt off as I can, because it does wreak havoc on your blades, the dirt does. Just like it does on a chainsaw. You know, if you're familiar with running a chainsaw and you run your chain into the dirt, take the chain off right now because you just wrecked your day. I've seen people just keep hitting the dirt and wondering why their chainsaw's not cutting. You got to keep them sharp just like you do your blades on these. So I use just a wire brush. Now, if they're real bad, I'll take them up to the house and I have a power washer. And believe it or not, it's a Husky power washer, but it works great, and it's a great way to get the dirt off, and now I know I have a really clean log. So we're getting close to the end of the must tools. You're going to need something along the lines of this. I use this quite a bit for once you cut the log and you're getting your board, you want to see what it looks like. It's just a good way to shovel off the sawdust. And a Foxtail Broom. Sometimes I'll just brush it off with a Foxtail Broom. Either one. So one of these. Or both, like I have. A good square is a must. You don't want to make, you know, you spent a lot of money on this, you tuned it all in, you got it level. You don't want to produce crappy lumber. What I do is I mill the top of the log, I mill the bottom of the log, then I flip it 90 degrees, and then I'll use the scale, the square, to make sure I have good square camp. Otherwise, even though these log stops on the back here are square, they can be knocked out. These made by Frontier, they're not welded on, they're just bolted on. I should probably weld them on one of these days, but I haven't done that yet. But even so, I can get it perfectly square. I tighten this up, and I use this little clamp to adjust the clamp that's on there. Square that up. So then I can wiggle it and move it and get it to where I need. So I really recommend using a square to get your lumber square. Another item you're going to need is you're going to have a way to handle the material. When I first started, I used my Farmall M, has a big dump box on it. And I would set all the boards on top of that dump box and then haul it to where I need it, or I'd throw the boards in a trailer and haul them to where I'm stickering them. And then all the fletches or cutoffs, I just pile them up. So I have a little rack right there. I need to do a little work on that rack. It kind of collapsed on me, broke some screws, but I just pile up all the fletches. So you got to have some means of handling all this stuff. So what I do is I cut them into like 2-foot sections. I burn them. My neighbor burns it as well, and we just cut them up and throw them in a trailer. Now that will fill up that trailer completely. So you're going to need a trailer of some sort or a way to haul that stuff around. All right, some items that will make your job easier, but this is not a must. You don't need this to run the mill. It will make it easier. You'll be more productive, but you don't need it. However, once you get it, you're going to say you needed it. This is my Mahindra. I got this back in February. I used my own money for it. We're not sponsored, obviously. We're a small station here, a small channel. It's a 2018. The guy I bought it from bought it brand new in 2019, October 2019, put 100 hours on it. I've only put 100 hours on it since I got it. And I figured I'd put about 200 hours a year. I bought it in February. It's now July, and I got exactly 200 hours on it. So I'm guessing about 200 hours a year I'm going to put on it. It still has 5 years left on the warranty. It's got a 7-year warranty. It's still got 2 years left on that. I got a really good deal. He was happy. I was happy. When I first got it, I didn't have a bucket, so I'd lift it up, and you saw on that arch, you're going to need log tongs. Somehow you're going to have to drag these out, whether you're using chains or log tongs, or a combination of both. So I use log tongs, hook them on, pull them up. So I'd wrap a chain around the bucket and let it hang. I'd pick, and if you watch some of my earlier videos, you'd see it. I'll pick the log right up with the log tongs and then set it on the mill. You know, you have to get it balanced on there. A lot harder than using the forks. Now the forks, you can't pick up as much with the forks on because the log actually sits out a little bit farther. When you have the bucket, and hanging from a chain, it's hanging almost directly under the pins here. So you can't quite pick up as much, but I've not found a log that I can't put on this mill yet. The maxed out pine, 28-inch pine, 10-foot log, this picked up, but it picked it up. It was slow. It took a while to get it up there, and you know, it was light, and I didn't have counterweight, but I do have ballast in the rear wheels, so I'm pretty safe there. But you don't have to have it, but I'm glad I do. Specs on this is the 1533 Mahindra with the 1538 loader. The loader, I think, has a breakout of 2,400 pounds and a lift capacity of like 1,800 or around 1,800 pounds. And I think that's about what the logs are. It's 34.5 horse, 4-wheel drive, but I have the shuttle shift, not the hydrostatic. Not a problem. The shuttle shift's simple to drive. My wife even can drive it. So we're really happy with it. It's making life a lot easier. So you heard me talk about the log tongs. That's what these are right here. These are log tongs. They open up, and as soon as you start lifting, they close and tighten up, just like ice tongs. They're fantastic. They're rather pricey. I got 2 sets. I got a big one and a small set. But these you have to have. You have to have something along the lines of these. I don't think you can really get away with not having log tongs. Two other items. I use a metal detector only on logs that I don't know where they came from. If they came off my property and I harvested them, I don't want them. But I have actually hit off of my property. I've hit barbed wire before in the middle of the forest. So obviously my land down the road there, I got 55 acres down the road there, oaks just like this place. Must have been pastured at one time, which makes sense. But I'll run this over. Oop, I'm picking up the mill. I don't do it on the mill. I'm picking up steel on the mill here. But it saved me a few times. Last weekend I came across, well, you probably saw the video. I did come across a white pine. I think it was like 25, 26-inch white pine that had a clothesline. I saw the clothesline in it, and I was able to find the nails with that, so that did save my butt. However, I did find a little nail that I didn't see and took out a few teeth, but that blade I'll be able to sharpen up. I won't use it for just maybe taking off slabs or something. And last but not least, it's not mandatory you have it, is I just have a little moisture meter. A family member gave this to me. In fact, my father gave it to me. I think he got it off Amazon. In fact, I'm sure he did. I saw the Amazon Prime package show up. It works good. How accurate it is, I don't know, but it seems like the logs, the boards are about 30 when I cut them, and I do have the pine that I've cut a few months ago dries out fast. So does the poplar. But the oak and cherry and some maple I cut is a little longer, but I cut some oak last October, and I believe I checked it about a month ago, and it was down to about 11% already. So those are just a few items you're going to need. I guess it's not a few items, there's quite a bit, and there's some more expense there to get started in your sawmill business. So after your $5,500 mill, you could probably, time you have all the things I just mentioned, log arch, if you're going to get one, or if you got other means, you might have close to $8,000 to $10,000 into everything, if not counting the tractor. So you're going to have some expenses, but it's a great little hobby. Now I have the trailer package on this Frontier OS 27. You don't have to do that. That will save you, I think it's $1,200 or something, maybe a little bit more for the trailer package. I'm glad I got the trailer packages. I know some guys don't like it, but I guess that's for a review of the Frontier sawmill. Maybe my next one will be a review of this sawmill. I'm happy with it. But those are just some of the basic tools you need. So don't think you're just going to get a sawmill and just start cutting logs right away. A few things you're going to need. But all right, guys, that will do it for this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. I'll answer most of the comments if you're kind. Subscribe, share it with a friend, and you have a great day. Take care.